Right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for joining today's session on behalf of the organizers of Edmonton Housing Month, as well as Civida. And it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce Bree Claude, Interim CEO of Civida, who will start our presentation today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Civida's portion of the Edmonton Housing Month webinars. It's our absolute pleasure to be with you today. Today, from Civida, you will see representation from me, Bree Claude, who's the Interim CEO over here at Civida. I'll be joined today by Lindsay Munn, our Vice President of Asset Management and Development, as well as Mr. Kenton Betts, our Vice President, Corporate Services, and also our CFO. We're honored to be here with you today. So as we get started, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the grandmothers and the grandfathers who've come before us and taken such great care of this land we find ourselves on today. And we recognize that we're gathered in collaboration and with a joint purpose on Treaty 6 territory. This territory is the traditional home and gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Dene, Iroquois, Anishinaabe, Nakota Sioux, Métis, and many, many other Indigenous peoples who have cared for this land since time immemorial and continue to steward it today. As visitors in this territory, we honor the importance of the treaties and our responsibility to these communities. Only in partnership can we create the changes necessary to support all people to be safe, well, and to be housed. It is vital that we meaningfully engage and partner with Indigenous peoples and communities in this work as we proceed forward together. All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to our conversation today. Maybe a little bit, just to kick things off, a little bit about Civida. So Civida is a housing management body established through the Government of Alberta under the Alberta Housing Act. And we serve over 15,000 tenants or residents within Civida homes as we have a social and community housing and provided through rent geared to income under the Alberta Housing Act and supported by the province of Alberta. We also administer close to 1,000 other homes under the Civida portfolio, and that is a mixed portfolio, which includes near market, mixed income, and other affordable housing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. So our homes are spread across 800 buildings and 120 locations. We also develop and manage new affordable housing, new projects and capital development. We'll talk a bit about that today. And we build partnerships with community organizations and public partners. And so across Civida sites, we have 24 social sector relationships, or 24 sites where 28 sites where 24 partners are providing services to Civida residents as well. So that's just a little bit about us. What we'd like to talk with you about today is a little bit more on the mixed income housing value proposition. And so this is getting to be a little bit of a newer idea, or a newer idea to do it and to do it well, around creating opportunities for more affordable housing, and also creating opportunities that are self-sustaining opportunities into the future that address demand, but also offer opportunities where we, as a housing provider, are not reliant on further public dollars to continue to deliver these programs. And so I just mentioned 4,400 of our units are under social and community housing. Each of those units receives an operating grant each year from the Government of Alberta to cover the costs of those units. And the proposal that we're bringing forward today includes mixed income affordable housing that would not include ongoing public funds. And so we are looking here at a model that has more housing without additional public dollars. And so that's one of the key value propositions with this model. We are also looking to unlock private sector partnerships. And so how might we engage with the private sector in ways that We use their talents and gifts and expertise to serve folks who are waiting for affordable housing, but also in an ideal world, reduces costs for the capital development itself. A third part of the value proposition has to do with creating safer communities and stronger social outcomes. And so when we approach this work at Civida, and it's now been baked right into our strategic plan, we do so, yes, as a housing provider, but also with awareness that housing is a part of stabilizing and supporting residents and families to do well, and as part of their life journey, potentially through the affordable housing continuum. As well as we'll look at Civida's mixed income model and how it looks and how it works in practice. So that's a little bit of what we're up to today, and we look forward to hearing any questions you might have as we go through this information. So the first kind of point of clarification is, where does Civida sit on the housing continuum, right from folks who are houseless all the way to market home ownership. And Civida, we find ourselves very much in the middle of this continuum as administrators of community housing, as well as, so that is the rent geared to income supported by government, as well as near market or affordable housing, mixed income that we're going to talk about today. So where it says near market, affordable housing is probably a better title that includes near market, and it also includes mixed income, anywhere from 30% of a person's income paying for their housing costs, all the way to market units, all within the same site that we'll be chatting about today. I think one of the other aspects of this continuum, I think we're all familiar with this continuum. It's how most of us place ourselves within our own mandates and within our own work. What I would offer that this continuum illustrates that we don't always talk about in the housing world is how where we all of us who require homes to live in, where we all sit on the housing continuum, and how that is connected to life circumstances, both in the sense of propelling us forward into increasing levels of private market engagement, and also decreasing levels of affordability. And so you can see here just a couple of examples that occur within all of our lives, potentially. You never know what the future holds, but families and individuals become, moving from the houseless end of the continuum, become connected to critical services, perhaps address medical issues, other issues that are happening within their lives, and then they're potentially able to become tenants within the community housing portfolio. So that's kind of that first side. When folks enter into Civida housing, that we seek to offer opportunities to improve their circumstances. And so we do that not as a direct service provider, that's not our area of expertise, but we're really good at partnering with others who deliver social services within Civida sites. And in some cases that can support some families to improve their circumstances to a point that affordable housing is a temporary time within their lifespan, and then potentially moving on to market rental, market ownership. So you can see just a couple of examples of that. So Civida services and partners helping them manage issues that they may be dealing with, including addictions, exposure to violence, mental health supports, employment skills, healthcare, and other essential resources. So we really like to emphasize the fact that this is a living continuum. It's not static, and life circumstances very much impact both our movement to the right and potentially our movement to the left when we find ourselves faced with dire circumstances or trauma as well. So just some recognition of a non-static housing continuum. So next slide, please. So baked within our strategic plan and supported by our Civida Board of Directors, Civida is very declarative to creating additional housing for those who are waiting for housing. So we have close to 10,000 eligible households waiting for affordable housing within the city of Edmonton right now, with very low vacancies within our portfolio, as well as a full administration of rent subsidies or housing benefits happening at the same time. And so we know that there are more people in need of housing than we have housing to offer, certainly from a Civida perspective. And so we're always looking at how do we create more access to affordable housing. If you consult our strategic plan, you'll see that we declare 4 ways that we seek to provide more housing. One is building more housing, which is lovely and it can happen. It's also very expensive. And we'll talk to you a little bit about some of our capital development ideas. Another way of offering affordable housing is to purchase other housing that exists on the private market and to make it affordable. In order for that to occur, we require, as Civida, we would require grants through rent protection kinds of programs that the federal government has talked about and has not yet quite rolled out. But those would be opportunities to buy market units and make them available in an affordable manner. We're very interested in that and offering more affordable housing through that method. The third way that we increase access to affordable housing is by administration of benefits, and that's one of the least expensive ways to increase affordability for folks needing affordable housing. And we administer under $4,000, just under 4,000 housing benefits each month. And that includes both rent assistance benefits and temporary rent assistance benefits through the province, as well as gender-based violence housing benefits that are administered to 4,000 households within Edmonton each month. And then the fourth way that we create access or create some flow through the system is paying attention to creating enabling outcomes, enabling conditions around our tenants and our residents so that their circumstances are able to improve and potentially create some flow through the system. So talking more about a journey through housing, a journey through affordable housing is one of the practices that we're beginning to think and integrate into our processes more and more. And so what you see here on the right is something that is not unfamiliar to anybody on the call, but it's essentially an articulation of the evidence we know to be true. How do individuals and families create better outcomes for themselves? And it's never a guarantee, but we do know when families and individuals are faced with adversity, that has a negative effect on their social and community outcomes. And we also know that when protective experiences are occurring within childhood, within community, that is much more likely to create better outcomes and healthier outcomes for individuals and families. So it's just a reminder to all of us that we're all attached to these social determinants of health, and we see ourselves as part of that sector. We also see ourselves as being intentional about creating those connections, those opportunities so that families are able to improve their own circumstances and create their own pathways. Next slide, please. And now I'd like to invite my colleague, Lindsay Munn, to talk a little bit about Civida's mixed income model in practice.
Thank you very much, Bree, and thank you everyone for joining us on your lunch break today to allow us to share a little bit about Civida and the mixed income model. So over the next couple slides, I'm going to talk about mixed income and really what that means to us here and how does it differ from other models that Bree was speaking about earlier. So Bree just talked about the spectrum of housing and how life events can impact the journey. Mixed income looks to create agility to respond to those events. It's an ability to offer a range of rental rates in the same building with the same construction standards, same size of units, same number of bedrooms. So its ability to integrate levels of affordability into one property with the ability to transition a family or an individual either up or down, pending their circumstances, all while staying in their home, which also means their kids potentially staying in the school and surrounded by the community that they've developed, creating both a kind of front door and a back door policy with ability to shift in situ. Rents are offered at a range of CMHC market and discounted rates of CMHC market rents in such a manner that the building, the capital construction costs, as well as long-term operating costs are all designed to be self-sustaining. While what degree of affordability can be offered is really highly dependent upon the initial capital investment of the project. The more upfront funding, the greater level of affordability that can be offered long-term. Also of consideration is the mortgage rate and an understanding of what the ops costs will be long-term. The unit mix is determined by the amount of mortgage, which is influenced by capital investment upfront. For example, if we think of our home mortgages, how much down payment really affects what you pay on a monthly basis. The exact same principle holds true in a mixed income model. From a building ownership and operator's perspective, a working pro forma is self-sustaining. Revenues can address the expenses, both mortgage as well as the yearly operating expenses and deferred maintenance, thinking ahead to such things, window replacements, roof replacements, and any other work that needs to be done on the building on an annual basis. The mixed income model is really a shift in thinking that proposes to try and address some of those barriers. Next slide. Perfect. Well, there's opportunities as well as challenges created in this model. So if a household's an example such, if a household's income were to change, either increase or decrease, the family would get to stay in their home. This is a huge benefit for both that family as well as creating a sustainable community within the building and greater neighborhood. But the rent on an annual basis could be adjusted to reflect their current rent affordability mix based upon their annual income review. This is done on an annual basis and adjusted at that point in time. Which unit a family lives in is absolutely independent of the amount of rent paid. Hence, it really reduces the stigma and creating a very inclusive community. In next slide, I'll show you some examples of how this is working in some of our buildings. While affordability has many different definitions, what Civida is trying to achieve in our new mixed income model building is trying to offer rents that are range from deeply subsidized, partially subsidized, up to CMHC market to really bridge the housing need for deeply affordable units. This allows the unit mix can be accomplished with capital investment from funding partners up front to contribute towards the cost of construction. Timing and alignment of that funding is one of the challenges of this model, so that construction can start with all of those grants in place. Other sources of income can help contribute to the revenue of the building while also contributing to the overall wellness of the community. Examples of mutually beneficial partnerships include daycares and other service providers that offer amenities to tenants in the wider community, but also can offer revenue to the building as well. Some examples in practice include Londonderry. This is Civida's largest development. It has 240 families that call this property home. Mixed income models work out to similar to what we would call traditional near market. An example of one of our properties is Inglewood Manor. It's all offered at 80% of CMHC market rents. In reality, Londonderry is also offered at 80%, but allows that opportunity to have more deeply subsidized as well as market units that really reflect different family needs. So Londonderry is offered at a third of the building at 60%, a third at 80% of CMHC, and a third at 100% of CMHC. And I just want to pause and maybe offer a bit of a reflection. When we say 100% CMHC market, we are meaning 100% of CMHC. Market rates are still significantly above 100% of CMHC. So that's still a very attractive rate in comparison to what private market would offer as well. Really what this nets out from a numbers perspective is this building operates at 80% overall, with the 100% market units really subsidizing the 60% units as well, which allows it to be a viable pro forma to cover the operating expenses as well as the mortgage costs long term. Londonderry is a mix of 1 to 5 bedrooms. As you can see in the picture, the lower levels are the larger bedrooms. Those are actually stacked townhouses that open out into the courtyard. There's also integrated community space in Londonderry. BGC Biggs, Africa Centre, Amity House, and Canadian Somali Cultural Society are all partners with us in this building, providing services to those that call this building home, as well as to the greater community. This site is also co-located a daycare, as well as one of our district offices. Our next example that we're bringing forward, one back, perfect, thank you, is Londonderry. This is our newest completed building. It has 120 units in 2 different buildings. It's again, on the lower level, it's a 2-story walkout townhouses with the apartments above. This building is offered at 2 different rent levels, 60% of CMHC and 80% of CMHC. This also offers amenity to our tenants in providing, as well as the greater community, providing a daycare on site. There's also multi-purpose room where small gatherings can be booked and utilized as well. This is a great example of also engaging with the community. One of the key factors, this is central right behind the LRT. So really, this is a great pathway through the site, connecting both the community as well as into their wider community as well. Our latest and currently under construction is Cascateo Asiski. This development consists of 7 different buildings, bringing together a community. There's 2 apartment buildings connected by a bridge, as well as 4 different stacked townhouse buildings, as well as amenity and daycare building as well. In total, there's 132 new homes being created on the site, 40 townhouses, and 92 apartment buildings. This is a very unique development, and this is one of our first of our kind and also leading in that this mixes from community housing all the way up to market housing. We're really proud of this development that 15% of this development will be community housing, 25% at 60% CMHC, 35% at 80%, and the remaining 25% at 100% CMHC, really offering huge flexibility for families to transition based upon their circumstances. This is a partnership with CT6 where 50% of the units will be first right to CT6 members as well. So we're very excited about that upcoming partnership. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Kenton.
Thank you so much. So building on the mixed income model, we've been contemplating how best to address some of the outstanding risks, how to best assign risks to the partners that are most able to bear it. How do we engage with the private sector to leverage their expertise? And how do we engage with other community partners to also leverage their expertise? So we've been in development in regards to a P3 and potentially a P4 model. And for everyone's awareness, that's public-private partnership or philanthropic public-private partnership. We're really looking for ways to minimize operator debt through a planned revenue generating model and create developments that have long-term viability over the life of the asset. Next slide, please. So we've been very fortunate. We were selected as the successful proponents on 2 surplus school sites as in partnership on the Carnarvon site with the Confederacy of Treaty 6 and Synergy. We are equal partners with CT6 and Synergy has a minority stake in the partnership as well. 50% of the units will be dedicated for First Nations members. It will be a 170 unit development with a mix of 1 to 4 bedroom suites, 2/3 designated as affordable housing. What's really special about this, and many of you will likely be experiencing similar challenges. It's hard for us as not-for-profits and affordable housing providers to have access to equity in the earlier stages of the project. Often our grant funding sources are only provided after we've been able to develop a Class B estimate, and likely we have to design and we often have to design at risk. Really, the benefit of this is an opportunity for us to both share that risk with a private sector partner, but then in addition to that, engage with Synergy through pre-construction and to really have that early contractor collaboration. And then through each and every step, having an open, transparent conversation with the partnership on what the viable pro forma is. We're actually in development in regards to the contractual information in regards to this, and I think one of our primary challenges in addition to this, as we've been walking through this new model, is how do we provide profit to our private sector partners while still being conformant with our not-for-profit objective, as well as meeting the requirements of our funders, and really being able to access funding through the not-for-profit streams of CMHC. So as we've moved through this, we're in development in regards to a Part 9 company or a not-for-profit, with a very, I would say, planned and calculated exit for our private sector partner, and with a long-term partnership planned with CT6 over the life of the asset. Next slide. The second site that I mentioned is Belmont. This is a partnership between Synergy and Civida. Again, it's 170 units with a mix of 1 to 4 bedroom suites, with 2/3 designated as an affordable housing provider. As we've kind of worked through the partnership details with Synergy and trying to find the best ways to meet both their objectives as well as our objectives, we've currently arrived at a construction management approach, with an opportunity to continue to redefine that and engage the market as we talk about the model for in the future. Next slide, please. So speaking to that's Civida's new partnership model. Again, it's critical that all of these partnerships be conformant with not-for-profit requirements, and really seek to align I would say our social enterprise goals of providing affordable housing and really providing housing to Edmontonians in need, with satisfying our private partners' need to both generate profit, but then also potentially like enjoy some of those secondary benefits of social good. We've been really talking quite extensively about how do we reduce project risk, understanding that we need to leverage multiple funding sources between CMHC, the Government of Alberta, City of Edmonton. How do we as partners leverage Civida's operational expertise with potentially other community agencies' expertise, and also including the private partners' ability to construct and really develop. We've been talking quite extensively about continuing to develop Part 9 companies to have I would say a fixed exit point. And we've heard this quite resoundingly from the development community, that they don't necessarily want to be long-term owners within the affordable housing mix, but are very supportive of our social goals. So really, there's an opportunity here to leverage that, I would say, extended warranty period, have them involved and owners and equity, and align our potential goals to both manage I would say, the long-term sustainability of the designs, with as well as creating a potentially affordable or viable design in the short term. As we continue to kind of work through this, we've contemplated structures such as promissory notes, other things that can be, I would say, articulated through the unanimous shareholder agreements, and how we really structured these potential corporate draftings. I would say through our engagement with industry, we resoundingly hear that they want to understand how they're getting profit out. They're comfortable with a reasonable level of profit. They want transparency. They want early engagement, and they want to really be at the table as equal partners. we really believe that this creates the greatest community impact, and we've gotten very positive indications from our potential funders that they would also like to see see us partnering with private sector entities and leveraging their expertise. Thank you.
So thank you, Lindsay and Kenton. That concludes our presentation for today. We welcome any questions. I know there's a few folks online. I don't know if you can hit your mic and just speak up, or if you need to do that through the chat, but we would love to hear if you have any questions. Please do share those. We'll just maybe take a 60-second pause just in case there are any remaining questions. There was a lot of information. I think one of the messages I would say is that this is not a perfect recipe or a perfect science, and we are very much learning as we go. Starting to understand this proposition better and better all the time. We continue to connect with our industry partners to seek feedback. We continue to work to articulate what this is and what it can be. And it's very much a learning journey for us that we're committed to continuing on in a desire to provide more affordable housing and to do so in a reasonable, cost-effective, timely kind of way. So I see a message from Allison saying, thank you for this. I think that's the comment we're receiving so far. So thank you everyone for taking your lunchtime. We wish you the very best, and we look forward to continuing to work with you on providing housing for those who need us in Edmonton. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.